Hello everybody. Funny times we're in. Stay safe. If the one thing that comes out of this is what seems to be a time of war, when we're all at peace, is a bit more kindness to ourselves and each other, then I suppose good always comes out of bad, doesn't it? But thank you, Rachel. Thank you for Rachel for putting this on for all of us so that we can, if we're self-isolating or just feeling the pressure, we can at least talk to each other. That's half the battle, really. Keep our sanity and we'll probably keep our health. So, what I'm going to do today, I've never used a camera like this before. I've always had somebody behind the camera, and I've never been without Daniel Agnew, my mentor. So I think we're going to have to learn together today, because what I have got to say is probably not the sort of depth of expertise that you're used to. So let's do this together and have a look at some of my bears. We'll perhaps make a flip book at the end of it so that we've got something to refer to, and let's see how we get on. So I think the first thing is that we're all very lucky to have a hobby, and our hobby is in many ways our sanity sometimes, and it's somebody we can go and somebody we can go and talk to, somebody we can learn about, and something to keep our minds busy. And I love a project. I always love a project. So how did it all start? Well, when I was 65, which is now nearly 7 or 8 years ago, my daughter-in-law Lisa said to me, "You're going to have to retire soon. You're going to have to retire soon. So what you need is a hobby." And she gave me two things. She gave me this fellow. Hang on a moment. Come on, chap. She gave me this fellow for my 65th birthday, and there's her writing on the back, which is a not particularly special bear, that is a very, very special bear. This is Nibs, which is the name of Lisa's husband, my middle son. He's a pedigree, 1950s pedigree, and he is the very, very, very first bear I had ever bought for me. And with it, she brought me this book, the Pauline Cockerell Teddy Bear Encyclopedia. And those two things combined, after a day or two, and then a week or two, had me absolutely spellbound. I couldn't stop reading the book. I read the book whilst I was cuddling Nibs, and I thought, I want to have more of this. I really, really want to have more of this. So that's where it all started. So they have a lot to answer for, these two. So does Lise. So I've now had, I guess, over 1,000 bears. Everything I do, I did it all very quickly. I have to do things, have to do it, have to get on and do it. And what I didn't do was learn much on the way. The journey was great. I loved every minute of it. I loved learning about the very basics, but I didn't learn enough. When I listen to Daniel Agnew or John Port or any of the other teddy bear experts, I think, wow, that's how I am about my profession, education, but oh, how I would so love to have the knowledge that they've got. But of course, I never will now, because that's a lifetime of knowledge. So I thought I want to start again. I want to start again with my teddy bear museum, which I love. But this time I want it to be a teddy bear museum of collections, because I'm a great one at why have one when you can have three. And I want to learn as I go. So I thought maybe you'd like to learn with me. And I'm sure when we're all looking at this, I'm sure Daniel and John will have a great deal of input for perhaps the questions we can have. And I thought at the end of it, if I make a book, a keynote or something, PowerPoint, of just my bears, then perhaps some of you could send photographs and we could make a joint book. This is a book just about our bears, and our bears of all our Facebook friends. And I thought that would be a very nice little project just for this next funny period of time. And don't forget, we've all got to stay safe and think of others. And it's it's a bit of a time for reflection, really, isn't it? The way I'm getting through this is I'm only doing, in my head, I'm only doing 14 days. And I've done 7, so I'm halfway through. At the end of that 14 days, I'll do 14 days. And then after that, I'll do 14 more days. But it's a bit like not eating an elephant whole, isn't it? I think it's better if you break it up. So that's what suits me. I'm just doing 14 days at a time. And this is going to be my project for this 14 days. Now, what I wanted to have is Daniel sitting here, Daniel Agnew sitting here, and John Port sitting here. So I think from time to time I might refer to them because that's in my head. Did you ever have imaginary friends? I had an imaginary friend when I was a little girl. She was called Elizabeth. But today I'm going to have John and Daniel, or was it John and Daniel? And they're going to be my imaginary friends. And when we finish this, they'll no doubt put right any mistakes we've made or add things to what we've done. So that's how I started, and that's why now I'm determined to learn more about each sort. So I think probably what I want to do today, I'm going to concentrate on mechanical things because I love them so much, and I have 1 or 2. I think I'm going to start by talking about this fella who is probably not a Bing. So I'm just going to put him to one side, and I want John and Daniel to tell me. I think Daniel's already told me he's an English tumbler, but he is a tumbler. I can't find any way that he's mechanical, but he is nevertheless a tumbler. And if I've missed something there, he was called a tumbler, and he's rod jointed, look, pin jointed, I guess that is. But I think we can just put him to one side, even though he's a tumbler, because I don't actually think he's a Bing. But it'd be interesting to have those boys' opinions a bit later down the line. So will you just go and sit next to Nibs, boy? What's your name? Tumbler, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? And then this chap. Now I'm going to do this chap next. This chap also may not be a Bing. I can't find him in the catalogue. My Bible for Bings, or German Bears, is, I don't know how you pronounce it, Selick, maybe Selick. But it's a brilliant, brilliant book, and it's worth having if you're a bear person. And that's my first port of call to actually start my learning journey. And this is my second port of call on my learning journey. And that is Ken Yenko, who you'll all know. So those two are going to be my teaching aids and to help us to put something together that we can all download and have a look at. Now, I saw one of these for sale as a Bing. I bought it as a Bing. I think, Dan, what do you think? I think you're going to tell me it's not a Bing, aren't you? I think Dan's going to tell me it's German because that's what he told me to put on my label. But I'm determined that we should look at him because I think there were Bings that, oh look, he's actually got a motor. I'm going to do, am I going to do this? Let's do this. Oh my goodness me, how do I do it? Okay, let's be brave. No, don't think that's going to happen, is it? Am I supposed to do something with that, do you think? It's obviously, right, another time I'll have a little go at that. I should have done that before. I don't think I even noticed that is supposed to turn around. Anyway, let's ignore that because that's... So he's a lovely little boy, but again, possibly just German and not necessarily Bing. Now I brought this out because this is quite clearly a Bing, and let me go to the actual Bing makers themselves, and I've got a little bit here that I'm just going to refer to because my knowledge isn't good enough yet. Gebruder Bing started at Nuremberg in 1863, but he started as a hardware, sheet and metal goods maker, including toys. And in 1907, he produced his first teddy bear, which was called Toys Stuffed with Soft Material and Clockwork Mechanism. Most of the Bings in those days, quite a lot of Bings in those days, had some sort of mechanical operation to them. And so in 1907 was the first, and in 1908 they produced their first white, brown and yellow option, or gold as we would call it, option. So that was the first lot of coloured bears. And they had a button in the ear. Now, if we can, any of us find a button in the ear, it would be them. They're completely scarce, because guess who complained? They went to court. Stuyve said, no, sorry, you don't have button in the ear. We have button in the ear. You cannot have button in the ear. They then had another adaptation, and that also got thrown out. So they finally had, I love this little thing. They finally had this little arrow, and I think I've got a better one to show you later. Now, I don't know how much you can see because I can't move this phone. You either see it or you don't. Let me try and put it a bit nearer to you. Can you see that little tiny button in the ear there? I'll perhaps try and do some close-up shots later. And it also used to have a card tag coming from it. I'd love to see one of those card tags, but seeing this arrow is a great thrill. And I think that's quite a typical. The wheels are typically being, okay, he's a piggy, but you're lovely, aren't you? So that's the very beginning, the very, very beginning of Bing. And then they also, where are you? Not you. Where's my somersaulting bear? Oh, he's here. They also did, now I've never actually wound him up either. This is all going to be a complete disaster. Here, which you also probably can't see well enough, just here under his arm, on this key here, are the letters that we'll learn about no doubt later on, that actually has got the Bing insignia on it. Now, am I going to do this? Let's do it. Let's do it. Don't let me down, boy. I thought I've expected a bit more. Can you see that? He's just nodding his head at you. I thought he was going to tumble. I've always called him a tumbler. So, no, he's not interested in that. Thank you very much. He's shaking his head, and I don't think he tumbles. So that is his mechanism. And it's fabulous. Has he got any ear buttons? No, only this. Just the mark on his key there. So I didn't think I had a head-turning bear. You see how much I don't know about my bears? I'm thrilled to bits with that. That's a big bonus. So you go and sit down there a moment. I'll come back for you in a moment. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. What am I going to go on and talk about now? Roller skaters. You've got a row here. There's the camera on them. I might have to go and turn it round or bring them over. I want to talk about them in greater detail later. But these fellows are also very early, so I'm going to come back to them last. And their clothes are in such good condition. And there's a tag there, which was the next one after the arrow, was the red tag with black on it. And then there's a red tag with some white on it, which I've never seen and haven't got. There was a blue tag that lasted right up to 1932 when they closed down, which I've never seen. And I think there's a silver tag so we'll learn about tags. In our book, we will learn more about the various tags and the dates. But I'm going to come back to him. So that's still 1910. And then my absolute favourites, which again I'm going to come back to, are these chaps with the ball, and the ball winds up and the bear's on wheels. So we'll come back and look. We've got a selection of those. I just wanted to keep the table clear in case any of these moved along at a vast rate. I don't think there's any fear of them doing that, but that nevertheless is what I thought I'd do. Now here, I've got him out. He's not a mechanical bear, but there is the red tag. Lost a lot of its red, so that puts him nearer the 20s, I think. He's a lovely chap. Bailey, you go and sit back down, Bailey. And another one of my favourite bears, and Bailey had his tag under his arm. Albert has his tag here on his wrist. Another red tag, so the same sort of date, but he's got it on, and he's such a regal old gentleman. You're beautiful, aren't you? He's got his watch on, look. Just keep tapping the camera to see what you can see what I'm doing. He's lost a bit of his hair, but then maybe so we all. But he is just a lovely, lovely old gentleman. Smells nice too. Oh, is that Ralph Lauren? Good Lord, so it is, I think. Let me put him down. Do you go there, boy? That must have been made for a little child. Now, this is the last one on this side, but this is a bit special, and I'm going to read this to you. This little fellow is called White Teddy. He's not mechanical. He has a button under his arm, which is the original silver one. So that is a very early bear. And he's got provenance, which will probably make you want to well up. Here comes a letter from a lady called Jo. Now Jo is 98, I think, and goes on to the museum site every night. Lives in Sussex, does she? Newbury. No. London. Lives in London. Jo Sanders. And she goes onto the museum site every single night and she kisses him goodnight. She didn't really want to sell him, but she decided the time was right because his life, she decided was going to be longer than hers, and she wanted him to have a good home. So I was absolutely honoured to have him. But the provenance that comes with him, I'm just going to read a bit because White Teddy is a very, very special little being. Just sit there a minute, my love. Are you going to sit there or do I need a pig to prop you up? Hang on a minute. Piggy, just you go there. Okay. Right. There's a photograph, she says, and it's in here. Let's find it. A photograph of Jo's mum when she was 25 in 1926. Can you see that? I'll just bring it nearer a minute. Is the light right? And her mum is holding her 7-week-old sister, who at the time of writing was 90. Now her sister sadly died since then, but Jo is still alive and kicking and very much loving life. And she says, "My mum was once a little girl very much in need of a bear to love. My grandparents, on holiday in the south coast, visited a small shop where they saw a very small toddler with red curls playing on the floor. She crawled straight over to my grandma and grandpa and hugged onto my grandpa's legs and wouldn't leave him. The shop owners were her grandparents, this little toddler's grandparents. And the shopkeeper told us that her mother had died of a broken heart after her father, a naval officer, had been posted far away abroad to stop them getting married. The couple in the shop said my grandparents could take the toddler. Let's go back to that. The couple in the shop said my grandparents could take the toddler if they wanted, as they couldn't look after her. So they gave her away. And what they did was gave my mother to my grandparents. They brought her home and raised her as their own. There was no paperwork in those days. Her cousins and those who knew her were sworn to secrecy, and Mum never found out. I was told this by the last of the aged cousins about 15 years ago. A sad, sad story. But they were childless and they gave her much love. And I found it a great shock to discover that they were not my real grandparents. So this lady lived and died without knowing that her parents weren't her parents. Oh, lovely story. And this is White Teddy. And here is a painting that I never actually did find out what date this was done. But that's White Teddy being painted, as you can see. Had a bit more hair then, perhaps. And what else did she give me? That's just her mother's name and her sister's name. And what a beautiful story. So White Teddy gets kissed goodnight every night in the museum, and Jo, it was her mum's teddy bear, and then it was Jo's teddy bear, probably her sister's as well, I should think. And he is a very, very special bear. Now then, old chap, you are just going to go and sit down there very carefully. Will you sit up for me? I tell you what, I'll give you the pig again. There you go. Sit back on the pig. Okay? Right. Now, where am I going to go now? I think I'm going to go to this chap. He is I think he's in both these books. Now, what do I have to do to this one? This one, it says, is a tumbler. Do I wind him? Oh, I don't think I dare. It's obviously this one. That one doesn't move. Yes, it does. I'm going to do it once. Am I going to do it twice? I don't want to break him. That's enough. Oh! Did you see that? Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, he does work. I'm never going to do that again unless I've got an expert telling me that I can. This sleeve's been redone, look. He does have rather exceptionally long arms, but he's got original trousers and he's got an original jacket, and he is really very early, 1907, and I'm lucky to have him. Lucky to have him indeed. How do you sit? You're going to sit like that? Stay there. Finally, this is Jake the Peg. Now, Jake the Peg has one solid leg, and he also is going to be supposed to do something. And they made this being like this, with a solid leg, and so somehow this leg does the tumbling. Look at all the stuffing coming out. So I'm going to give this one a whirl. Are you ready for this? He's got a new nose. Somebody's redone his nose. Are you ready to have your arms wind round, chap? Are we ready? Are we ready? Are you ready? That's a bit scary, is all this. Okay. And if Daniel was here, he would just wind this without being such a wimp. But I'm just not as... Can you see? There's no use me standing up for you to see, is it? I think if I got the camera actually positioned correctly, you would have seen that. I think I ought to just perhaps go and move it, but let's see how we get on. Now then, we're coming next to some of my favourites. There's a usurper in the lineup here. Do you think I just ought to move this camera? I think I did. Just hang on a sec. Let's just get it down onto the table so you can see properly. Let's just see when this is... Is that better? Doesn't want to really move much further than that. I know. I think I'm better taking this off. I've got it standing on boxes. Let's see if that does the trick. I think for this exercise, that's better, isn't it? Just so we can see the table if we're going to get... Right, you can't see me now, but I don't think we need to worry about that. Now then, this is not a Bing. This is a Shuko. And what's more, I think I'm right in saying that it's quite a late Shuko. I think it's probably the 50s. And if you look at the other skaters, there's a... I think he's a skier, don't you? I think he's a skier. I think he is a skier. He's quite clearly a skater, can you see? And he either has been much more used or he's a bit earlier, but they're all 1907, so he can't be that much earlier. So those three are quite clearly got the same skiing. It's got to be skis. It's not skates. It's got to be skis. It's got to be short skis, I think that. They've obviously got the same mechanism. I think these two, with the clothes on, are probably a little bit later than him. I think they perhaps made the one without clothes earlier. And he, you can see, is different. They don't look like skis really, do they? But anyway, he is he's not a Bing, but was, I think one of the Shuko people went to work for the Bings. Their designers went in and out of each other's companies the whole time, moved from one company to another, just like designers do today. And I think this one must have, I would guess that the Shuko has been designed on the Bing's design, because I don't think it was much earlier than the Bing. So I'm going to put him to one side. And so now we're left with these wonderful chaps. So the skater, let me take him, because I think he's the earliest. And I'm now going to try and see how these move. Just move over, chaps. Move over there. Now then, what do I wind? I've got a key here. Where's my, oh yes, it's under his arm, look. See there? Under his arm. Let's see if I can get the key off. If I break any of these, I should be so cross with myself. But maybe I won't. Can't do that. Can't actually get the key off. Let's see if I can find some scissors. Hang on a sec. Oh, 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 oh. Right, here we are. I've just got to do that to you, my chap. But you're not going to get hurt, don't worry. Right, now, you move over there. This is baby brother. Now then, can we see? Yes, we can. Wow. Oh. Nothing. He's supposed to be propelled. Oh yeah. He's supposed to go backwards and forwards, I think. Am I going to do a bit more? Or shall I try a different? Oh God, I don't think I dare. I'm going to try a different one. Oh, I can see that it does work. I think he does that. Somebody will probably tell me I'm wrong. But you sit there. I'm going to see if one of your brothers can do it. Let's try one of these two. Have we got keys? Oh, there's the red button. Look, can you see the red button? Lovely chap. Oh, he's got a key. Right, you move out of the way a minute. Let's see what we can do. Oh, it gives me absolute heart attacks doing this. I should take that label off, really. It's a nuisance, isn't it? We're doing this in such a rush that I've only done half a job, which is the story of my life, really. Right, okay. Oh! Oh. Is that all we've got? Let's try you again. No. So easy to... Oh yes, look. Oh look, can you see? And again. Right, never seen that before. That's brilliant. 1907. It's not bad, is it? Had a bit of life in him there, look. A little bit of help. Okay. I think you have to stop now. There you go. Okay, let's put you back over here, because you're rather nice, aren't you? So I'm going to go for the 1907 skaters and skiers, and I'm going to go to my very, very favourites. Do I have to move it back so you can see me? I don't think I do. I think we all know what we look like. And I've got 3 here. Little chap who's, I guess he's white, not golden. I said the other day I thought he was probably golden, but I guess he's probably actually white. Now look at that. To have 3 of these, and actually 4 of these in the same place, is quite extraordinary. He has lost his ball. So if anybody comes across a red or a blue ball like that, this chap left his somewhere. He's lost it. So I'm going to put him down, but we have 4 of these here, all in one place. A small one with a smaller ball, two red ones. There are different sizes that we'll learn about later. And then, is he the same size as these two? I think he is, isn't he? Or is he smaller? No, I think he's the same size as those. So, are we going to be really daring and see what they do? Or are you going to shout at me because I make a mess? Let's just move you over. Move over, so let's see what you do. Where's the key? Here's his key, nicely tied on. Where's your place for the key, chap? Here it is. God, this is agonising doing this. The thought that I might break something that's lasted over 100 years, 110 years. Huge. Okay. Need to do anything? Oh, that's what he does. Needs a bit of help. Go on, off you go. 1907, you know, isn't this remarkable? Okay, now then, this is my very last thing that I'm going to show you today, and I think you're going to find, if you're a proper teddy bear lover like all of us are, you're going to find this to be quite amazing. And in here, which looks like a bag of bits, is the box for this chap. This is a box from 1907. It needs restoring, and isn't that just extraordinary? There he is on the front of his box with his ball. I just think that's the best thing ever. And there's the rest of his box, all in there. All I need to do is find somebody that put that together, and then this chap has actually got his original 1907 box. GBN on the front. Absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to come and get this camera now, because I can't sit down there talking into my glasses the whole time. Is that better? Am I looking at myself now? There. So that's my mechanical bings for us to look at. So what I will do now is take some photographs and make some sort of keynote or something so that we can download it, and we'll learn a bit more about Bing. If there's anybody out there that has some huge knowledge about Bing that perhaps I might not find in one of these two particular books I'm using, please let me know, because we can build this book together so that we've got a book with our photographs of our own bears in our own words about the very early Bings. I'm not particularly interested in later bears, but Bing finished in 1932, so they won't be that late, will they? So I think that's all for me. I'm going to carry this camera just so that you can see some more Bings on our way out. I'll keep it in its case. I'll just put you on, hang on a moment.